Have you ever found yourself in a relationship moment reacting in a way that felt oddly deeply familiar? Like almost like you were reading from a script you didn't consciously write, a pattern maybe repeating from generations past.
Hmm.
Or perhaps your partner did something seemingly small, innocuous, and it just rubbed an old wound raw, setting off this intense reaction that felt, well, way bigger than the actual event.
Absolutely. It happens all the time.
It turns out we bring a lot more than just our individual selves into our relationships. We carry entire legacies, emotional histories within us.
That's right.
Today, we're embarking on a really insightful deep dive into a topic that honestly underpins so much of our relational dynamics, our family of origin.
It's foundational.
Exactly. And specifically, we're drawing some invaluable wisdom from Chapter 8 of Couple Therapy Workbook by the brilliant Dr. Nader Attalla.
A fantastic resource.
It really is. And this chapter is aptly titled New Life and Family of Origin, Understanding Where You Come From to Build Where You're Going. It really sets the stage.
It certainly does. And what's truly fascinating about Dr. Attalla's work here, and what we'll really unpack today, is how he meticulously illustrates that our personal histories, especially those foundational experiences, with our earliest caregivers, our family members, our family of origin, they aren't just background noise.
Right. Not just ancient history.
Not at all. They are constantly and profoundly influencing our present relationships. Often in ways we don't even begin to realize. It's almost as if you have these invisible guests, these deeply ingrained emotional blueprints present in every room of your relationship.
Invisible guests. I like that.
Yeah, they're sort of quietly guiding the conversation, sometimes dictating reactions, shaping perceptions, all without us being fully aware.
That's such a powerful metaphor, invisible guests. It suggests these influences aren't always obvious, are they? They're subtle.
Very subtle, often unconscious.
So our mission today really is to pull back the curtain on these silent, powerful forces. We want to help you, our listeners, understand the emotional blueprints you unconsciously inherited. We want to explore how these historical patterns show up in your most intimate partnerships, why they sometimes cause friction, confusion, maybe even deep-seated hurt.
Which they often do.
And most importantly, how you can consciously choose which patterns to keep, which ones need a bit of an update maybe, and which ones to lovingly release entirely.
It's about conscious choice.
Exactly. Think of this as your essential shortcut, maybe, to understanding the deeper currents flowing through your partnership, moving from confusion to clarity, from reactivity to intentional choice.
A very worthwhile journey.
Absolutely. So let's begin by really digging into this core idea, the invisible inheritance. Dr. Attalla tells us something profoundly simple, yet I think often overlooked. He says, you bring your whole story into your relationship, even the parts you haven't told yet.
It's so true. It means that long before you ever uttered a single word to your partner, you were already carrying this vast, complex narrative. Experiences, lessons learned, emotional responses, all shaped by your earliest environment.
Wow. Even the untold parts.
Especially those. And if we step back for a moment and connect this to the bigger picture, it means every significant relationship in our lives, particularly those foundational ones in childhood, leaves an emotional imprint. It's so deep it can feel like part of our DNA almost.
Right.
Your family of origin, whether it was biological, adopted, a blended family, maybe even a community that functioned as your primary caregiving unit, established your very first operating system for how you navigate the world.
An operating system for relationships.
Exactly. For how you navigate love, safety, conflict, connection. And this isn't just about the specific people you grew up with. It's about the entire cultural, emotional, relational environment of your childhood home.
The whole atmosphere.
The whole atmosphere. And even if you physically move thousands of miles away, those emotional echoes persist. They shape how you express emotions, how you solve problems, what you expect from intimacy, how you react under stress, what you inherently believe love should look and feel like.
So these are the deep, often unseen forces constantly at play in our current relationships.
Constantly.
So hearing all this, it feels easy to maybe fall into the trap of blaming our past, doesn't it? It can feel like, oh, okay, this is why I am the way I am, and it's all because of my parents or my upbringing or X, Y, or Z.
That's a very common reaction. Understandable even.
But that's not the point here, is it? This exploration isn't about pointing fingers or getting stuck in some kind of victim narrative where you just assign fault to your parents or caregivers for how you function today.
Precisely. And that brings us to a really important question.
Huh.
What is the purpose of this exploration then? And the goal is unequivocally not blame. It's about becoming conscious.
Conscious of these influences.
Exactly. Conscious of these powerful, often unconscious influences.
Okay.
Think of it like this. Imagine you just bought a brand new, incredibly sophisticated computer.
Okay.
When you turn it on, it comes with default settings for everything. Screen brightness, preferred browser, notification sounds, how it handles errors, right?
Yeah, the factory settings.
The factory settings. Now, you don't blame the manufacturer for these defaults. You simply recognize them. And once you know what those settings are, you gain the power, the agency, to change them.
You can customize it.
You can customize them to better suit your needs. Your family of origin, metaphorically speaking, installed the first operating system on your personal you.
Huh. I like that.
It came preloaded with default settings for everything. How to handle conflicts? Maybe a silent treatment was the default error message handler in your family?
Or maybe yelling was.
Or maybe yelling, absolutely. How to express affection? Maybe it was subtle acts of service rather than overt declarations like a quiet pop-up notification that you learn to interpret as love.
Right. Actions speak louder than words, perhaps.
Perhaps. And many of these settings run in the background, shaping your current interactions without you even realizing it. The profound power comes from recognizing them, understanding their original purpose because they usually served a purpose back then. And then intentionally deciding which ones get to stay, which ones need an upgrade, and which ones are simply outdated and need to be uninstalled entirely.
So it's about taking control of the setting.
Exactly. This shift from unconscious reaction to conscious choice is where true relational freedom begins.
Wow. Okay. So within that personal operating system our family installed, every family truly has its own unique emotional operating system.
That's right.
It's like this unwritten manual, a hidden curriculum for how life should be lived, how feelings should be handled, how relationships are supposed to work, not taught explicitly, but just absorbed.
Absorbed implicitly, just by growing up in that particular environment. And this is where it gets truly fascinating, because these unwritten rules become so deeply embedded that they often feel like universal truths.
Like, so this is just how things are.
Exactly. Not just one way of being, but the way. They define what's considered normal, acceptable, expected in your world. And Dr. Attalla highlights several key areas where our families profoundly shape us, and crucially, how we then interact in our adult relationships.
Okay, let's break those down.
Let's start with emotional expression. This is absolutely foundational. How were feelings handled in your childhood home? Were emotions welcomed, explored, processed openly?
We're not.
Or not? Were they minimized, maybe with phrases like, oh, it's not that big a deal, or outright criticized, stop crying, you're being too sensitive? Perhaps emotions were so overwhelming or chaotic in your home that you learned to shut down, to numb yourself, just to survive.
And that makes sense. A coping mechanism.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Did you internalize messages that anger was dangerous, that sadness was a sign of weakness you had to hide? Or maybe even that joy was too much, something to be tempered, not fully expressed?
Wow. Even joy could be restricted.
Oh, definitely. The messages we received about emotions dictate how we permit ourselves to feel, express, and even acknowledge our own emotional landscape as adults. And this often leads to deep misunderstandings with partners whose emotional upbringing was entirely different.
Yeah, I can see that clash happening easily.
Next, consider power in decision-making. Who held the authority in your family? Was power shared among the adults, maybe even with children having some say in age-appropriate matters?
Or was it one person calling all the shots?
Yes, exactly. Was power concentrated in the hands of one or two individuals with little room for dissent or input? Did children's opinions genuinely matter? Or were they expected, essentially, to be seen but not heard, with adults making decisions without much consultation?
And this affects how we handle power dynamics later on.
Profoundly. It shapes our comfort with authority figures, our ability to voice our needs and desires, our expectations around collaboration versus autonomy, control versus partnership in our adult relationships. If you learned your opinion didn't matter, you might really struggle to assert yourself with a partner.
Or maybe you always feel the need to be in charge to compensate.
Or the opposite, yes, you might overcompensate. Then there's conflict resolution. This is a huge area where family patterns impact relationships. How are disagreements handled in your home?
Avoided at all costs. Or constant fighting.
Both are common. Were conflicts addressed directly and openly, maybe with calm discussion, respectful debate? Or were they consistently avoided, swept under the rug, leading to this unspoken tension that just lingered?
That simmering resentment.
Exactly. Did fights escalate into chaos? Yelling, emotional outbursts, maybe even physical aggression? Or was there a structured process for working through differences, maybe even just a quiet, polite disagreement that eventually led to some kind of resolution? The blueprint you absorbed here sets the stage for how you instinctively approach disagreements as an adult. Do you lean in, hoping for resolution, or do you run away, fearing escalation?
Wow. It's like we have these default conflict modes.
We absolutely do. And then, crucial to any relationship, is intimacy and connection. What did love look like in your family? Was affection shown primarily through words frequent I love yous, compliments?
Or through actions.
Or through physical actions like hugs, cuddles, perhaps acts of service, doing things for each other, maybe spending quality time together, or gifts? How emotionally close were family members?
Was it okay to be vulnerable?
That's a huge question. Was vulnerability considered safe, a place where you could truly be seen, heard, accepted, flaws and all? Or was it risky? Did it invite criticism, judgment, maybe even rejection? The early messages about intimacy significantly impact our capacity for closeness, our trust, our willingness to be truly vulnerable in our adult bonds.
If you learned vulnerability wasn't safe, it's hard to unlearn that.
Very hard. Finally, Dr. Attalla points to stress management. This is about how your family responded to challenges, losses, overwhelming situations. When the unexpected happened, or life threw a curveball, did your family learn to come together, to unite, support each other, problem solve collectively?
Or did everyone just kind of fall apart?
Or did the family tend to fragment? Individuals falling apart under pressure, maybe isolating themselves, maybe lashing out. Were you taught to be fiercely strong and independent, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, shoulder all burdens yourself without complaint?
The Stoic approach.
Yes. Or were you encouraged to seek and offer support, recognizing the strength in interdependence? This shapes your resilience and how you navigate life's inevitable stressors, both individually and critically with your partner.
Okay, so those are really key areas. As you're listening, this is a big one for you to reflect on internally. Take a moment, just think about your own family's emotional operating system. What was its pervasive emotional climate like in these areas? How were feelings handled, really? Who had the final say in big decisions? Whose opinions were truly valued? What did a typical argument or disagreement look like in your childhood home? And how was love expressed to you and within the family unit itself? Just let those questions kind of swirl around in your mind as we continue. See what connections or insights start to emerge for you. No pressure, just curiosity.
Curiosity is key. And what's truly fascinating here, and often quite eye-opening for people, is how we adapted within that unique family system. To feel accepted, loved, valued, or sometimes, honestly, just to survive, we often unconsciously took on specific roles.
Like characters in a play.
In a way, yes. These weren't typically conscious choices we made as children, you understand. They were more like survival mechanisms, adaptive strategies that helped us navigate the complex, often unspoken dynamics of our family unit.
Okay, makes sense.
And here's the kicker, the profound insight from Dr. Attalla. These childhood roles don't just disappear when we grow up. They become deeply ingrained patterns of relating. They often continue right into our adult relationships, sometimes leading to unconscious behaviors, repeated frustrations, or that feeling of being stuck in a certain dynamic.
So these aren't just childhood memories, they're active patterns. Let's look at some of these common roles Dr. Attalla outlines and their adult patterns. Maybe listeners can reflect on whether any of them feel familiar.
Absolutely. First, we have the hero, often called the golden child.
Ah, the perfect one.
The perfect one, exactly. Expected to excel, make the family look good to the outside world, maybe the academic star, the responsible oldest, the one who never caused trouble, perhaps even solving family problems or holding things together. Their worth was often very tied to their accomplishments and meeting these high expectations.
Okay, and how does that show up in adulthood?
The adult pattern for the hero often manifests as profound perfectionism, a relentless pursuit of flawlessness in themselves, and sometimes, frankly, in others too.
Oof. High standards.
Very high standard. And it's not just about standards. It's often a deeply ingrained performance anxiety. It can prevent true vulnerability or even just resting in a relationship. They might have extreme difficulty accepting criticism, seeing it not as feedback, but as a personal failing, undermining their identity.
Takes it very personally.
Very personally. And they often live with this underlying pervasive fear of disappointing others, constantly striving to meet perceived expectations, even at their own emotional and physical expense. This can lead to burnout or sometimes resentment from a partner who feels they can never measure up.
Okay. Then we have the scapegoat or the problem child.
Yes. This was often the child who, consciously or unconsciously, got blamed for family problems. or who acted out the family's underlying dysfunction.
The bad apple.
Often labeled that way, yes. Rebellious, difficult. They drew attention to themselves, often distracting from deeper issues within the family system. Their behavior, though problematic, frequently served a function, however unhealthy.
Right. And in adulthood.
In adulthood, the scapegoat pattern can lead to being perpetually rebellious, sometimes just for rebellion's sake. They might be extremely defensive when challenged or confronted, anticipating blame or judgment almost automatically.
Walls go up.
Instantly. They often struggle with authority figures, bosses, partners, societal norms, and can have a very low tolerance for criticism, often reacting with anger or withdrawal. They might even unconsciously seek out situations where they are perceived as the problem, because, sadly, it's a role that feels familiar, however painful.
Wow. Familiar pain. Okay, next role.
The lost child, sometimes known as the invisible one.
The quiet one in the corner.
Exactly. This child learned that the safest way to navigate the family dynamics was to stay out of the way. Don't cause problems. Essentially, make themselves as unobtrusive and undemanding as possible. They might have retreated into their own world, books, fantasy, quiet hobbies. An observer, not a participant. Their needs often got overlooked or dismissed.
So how does that translate later?
As adults, the lost child often has profound difficulty expressing their needs. They learned it was safer, maybe even necessary, to be quiet and self-sufficient. They tend to disappear during conflict, literally or figuratively. They avoid confrontation, hoping problems just resolve themselves.
Which rarely happens.
Rarely. And it leads to unresolved issues and frustration for their partner. They might struggle with feeling seen or heard, not realizing they are unconsciously perpetuating their own invisibility by not speaking up.
Makes sense. Who's next?
The mascot or the entertainer?
The class clown of the family.
Pretty much. This child instinctively used humor, charm, maybe a superficial cheerfulness to deflect tension, lighten the mood, or diffuse conflict.
Yeah.
The family comedian, the perpetually happy one, even in hurting inside. Their role was to keep things light, avoid heavy emotional burdens.
Okay. And the adult pattern.
In adult relationships, the mascot might have profound difficulty with serious emotions, both their own and others. They often resort to jokes, sarcasm, changing the subject when things get too heavy or intimate.
Using humor as a shield.
A powerful shield, yes,
Yep.
to avoid intimacy and vulnerability, keeping others at arm's length by never letting themselves or the conversation delve into deeper, uncomfortable emotional territory. This can leave their partner feeling like they can never truly connect on a profound level.
Yeah, that sounds lonely for the partner.
It can be. And finally, the caretaker, often referred to as the parentified child.
The little adult.
The little adult, yes. This child, far too early, took on adult responsibilities. Caring for parents or siblings, emotional, physical, maybe even financial needs. They stepped into a parental role. The responsible one, the mediator, the emotional support, often neglecting their own childhood needs in the process.
So how does that play out later in life?
The adult pattern for the caretaker is frequently being over-responsible, feeling this immense burden to solve everyone's problems, often taking on tasks that aren't theirs. They can have significant difficulty receiving care or support from others.
Because they're so used to giving.
Exactly. They feel uncomfortable or unworthy of being nurtured. This often leads to codependent tendencies, where their sense of self-worth is deeply tied to taking care of others. They might feel lost or unnecessary if there's no one to fix or support.
Wow. Okay, those are some powerful roles. So, as you've heard these descriptions, maybe take another moment to truly reflect. What role did you play in your family dynamics to feel accepted, valued, or simply safe? And how might that role, even unconsciously, still be influencing your automatic reactions, your communication style, your overall behaviors in your current intimate relationships? Just observe any connections you might be making. Again, without judgment, just with curiosity.
That curiosity is so important. And beyond these overt roles we've just discussed, every family also operates by a set of implicit, unwritten rules.
Unspoken rules, like secret laws.
Kind of. They're never directly stated, never explicitly written down or discussed at dinner. Yet they are powerfully enforced through reactions, consequences, the whole emotional climate of the home. And crucially, these unspoken rules become deeply internalized beliefs that automatically guide our behavior as adults, often without our conscious awareness.
Like the background software running things.
Exactly. The unspoken commandments of your household, shaping your moral compass and your understanding of how the world works.
And these can be incredibly powerful precisely because they operate beneath the surface, right? Shaping gut reactions, influencing choices before we even consciously register them.
That's exactly why they're so potent. Think about common ones related to emotions, for example.
Don't cry.
What does that teach you?
Suppress sadness. Tears are weak.
Right. Or stay strong.
Yeah.
Which can lead to a belief that showing any struggle or asking for help is unacceptable. Don't be too sensitive. That dismisses and invalidates emotional experiences, makes you question your own feelings.
Or keep your feelings to yourself.
Promoting emotional isolation, reluctance to share deep parts of yourself, even with a loving partner.
Yeah, then there are the rules about relationships themselves, like family comes first.
Which sounds noble, but can sometimes create profound boundary issues with a partner, right? Over-involvement with the original family at the expense of the new partnership.
Totally. Or don't trust outsiders.
Fostering insularity, paranoia, difficulty forming genuinely intimate new connections. Or the classic, love means never having to say you're sorry.
Ugh, that one. Prevents real apologies. Accountability.
And ultimately, true conflict resolution leads to festering resentment.
Absolutely. What about rules around success and worth?
Oh, plenty of those too. Be perfect. Instills intense, often crippling pressure. Don't fail. Makes mistakes terrifying, leads to risk aversion. Your worth depends on achievement.
So you're only as good as your last success.
Exactly. Tying self-esteem directly to external accomplishments, not inherent value, leads to constant striving. Or don't be too proud, which might teach humility, but can also discourage healthy self-advocacy or celebrating successes.
Right. And maybe the most significant for relationships, rules about conflict.
Hugely significant. Don't rock the boat. Leads to extreme conflict avoidance, suppressing your own needs to maintain artificial peace.
Keep the peace at all costs.
Which can mean swallowing resentments, ignoring injustices, never expressing genuine disagreement, or never let them see you hurt. Encouraging emotional stoicism, refusing to show vulnerability even when deeply wounded, makes it impossible for a partner to offer comfort or support.
Wow, those are really powerful.
If we step back, these rules are like invisible guardrails. They dictate how you instinctively react, how you operate on autopilot, even if those reactions aren't serving you or your current relationship well today.
You might just keep doing it because it's the rule you learned.
Exactly. You might find yourself consistently shutting down, getting defensive, always trying to please. People-pleasing, not because it's the most effective or authentic response now, but because an old, unspoken rule is guiding your behavior from the shadows. They feel like your natural way of being, not a learned response from a specific system.
Like background software running without you even seeing the icon.
Perfect analogy, yes.
So here's a powerful thought exercise for you right now. What unspoken rules did your family operate by? Take a moment, think of one or two that really stand out. Maybe don't talk about money, or always present a united front.
Good examples.
And then, how might those very rules, those invisible guardrails, be showing up in your intimate relationship today, perhaps without you even realizing it? Are you maybe avoiding difficult conversations because of an old don't rock the boat rule, even if that avoidance is harming your connection? Just allow yourself to ponder that connection.
It's a crucial connection to make.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting and often truly challenging in real-world relationships. When you enter an intimate partnership, you're not just bringing yourself, you're bringing that entire complex emotional system you learned growing up.
Your whole operating system, roles, rules.
The whole package. And guess what? Your partner is doing the exact same thing.
Absolutely. They're bringing their entire unique, deeply ingrained emotional inheritance to the table, too. A lifetime of learned patterns, fears, expectations.
So what happens then? What happens when these two deeply ingrained, often unconscious systems meet?
That's the critical question, isn't it? Sometimes it's magic. They complement each other beautifully. Like finding two perfectly interlocking puzzle pieces, your strengths balance their challenges, and vice versa.
The dream scenario.
The dream scenario. But other times, perhaps more often than we realize, they clash. They clash in ways that create confusion, conflict, deep hurt feelings, even when both partners have the best intentions and genuinely care for each other. Dr. Attalla identifies some common clashes that arise when these two inherited systems interact.
Okay, let's hear them. What are some common clashes?
One frequent point of friction is different emotional languages. For instance, one partner might have learned to express love mainly through actions, cooking meals, doing chores, providing practical needs because that's what they saw and absorbed.
Their family wasn't big on words of affirmation.
Exactly. Meanwhile, the other partner might come from a family where love was always verbalized, frequent I love yous, compliments, open declarations. Neither language is wrong. But if these differences aren't understood...
Someone feels unloved.
Precisely. One partner might feel profoundly unloved or uncared for despite the other's efforts, while the other feels unappreciated for their genuine acts of service. It's like trying to communicate in French when the other person only speaks German. Needs translation.
Oh, okay.
What's another
clash?
Another common, often painful one? Opposite conflict styles. One partner might have learned conflict is dangerous, at least as shouting, abandonment, pain. Their underlying fear might be being left or being overwhelmed, so they avoid all disagreement. They shut down, change the subject, leave the room, maybe fawn to appease.
Total avoidance.
Total avoidance. The other partner, however, might have learned that working through problems immediately, directly, engaging in robust debate, is how you show care, build trust, strengthen the bond.
So when these two meet...
It's tough. One partner interprets avoidance as uncaring, disrespectful, dismissive. The other sees direct confrontation as aggressive, threatening, maybe even abusive. The core intention might be love on both sides, but the delivery is entirely misaligned. Leads to escalation or profound disconnection.
Yeah, I can see that. Painful.
Very. Then there are significant clashes due to different intimacy comfort levels. One partner might come from a very emotionally open, maybe even enmeshed family, where frequent sharing of feelings, daily details, personal thoughts was the norm, almost expected. They might need constant, deep emotional intensity.
While the other partner?
The other might come from a more reserved, private family. Emotional expression was minimal, personal space highly valued. They might feel overwhelmed or pressured by too much emotional intensity, needing more personal space, quiet time, less constant sharing to feel secure.
So one feels starved for connection, the other feels suffocated.
Exactly. Both yearning for different levels of closeness, creating a push-pull dynamic.
Okay, any others?
And finally, we frequently see clashes stemming from varying independence expectations. One partner's family might have been very close-knit, doing almost everything together, strong emphasis on family loyalty, interdependence, constant connection, almost a collective identity.
Super tight. Super tight. The other's family might have highly valued independence, self-reliance, personal autonomy, with less daily interaction, more emphasis on individual pursuits. This can lead to one partner feeling smothered or neglected, depending on their inherited expectations, creating this tug-of-war between togetherness and personal freedom.
Wow. So many potential points of friction just from where we came from.
Indeed.
And then there's arguably the most potent, most challenging dynamic of all. When your partner triggers your past.
Ah, yes. The big one.
We've all felt it, right? That intense, disproportionate, almost overwhelming reaction that seems to erupt from nowhere. Feels way too big for the current moment. Not just a minor annoyance. It feels like a deep, primal, unhealed wound has been struck.
It's visceral.
Totally.
Yeah.
Maybe your partner forgets to text back for an hour and you feel this wave of intense fear, abandonment, worthlessness that seems, well, way too powerful for just a missed text. Or a casual comment about your cooking sends you into a spiral of shame.
Those disproportionate reactions are key signals. So what's the insight here? What's Dr. Attalla telling us about these triggers?
The key insight here, and it's truly transformative when you grasp it, is this. When your partner triggers you, they might not be the cause. They might just be touching something that was already there.
Okay, so more about that. Cause versus touching.
It's a critical distinction.
Yeah.
It's not about blame. It's usually not about your partner intentionally trying to hurt you.
Yeah.
Rather, their action, however innocent, unintentional, or maybe simply different from your expectation, has inadvertently brushed against an old, unhealed wound, a deeply ingrained pattern from your past.
Like stepping on an old bruise.
Exactly. That's the perfect metaphor. Think of it like this. Your partner isn't throwing a new rock at you that creates a fresh injury. They're accidentally stepping on a bruise from an old injury that was already there, maybe festering from a past experience. Their innocent step just made that old bruise acutely, almost unbearably painful.
So the intensity of the reaction tells you more about the bruise than the step.
Precisely. It tells you less about their current action and more about the historical pain already residing within you.
That's huge. Okay. Can you give some examples of these family origin triggers?
Absolutely. Dr. Attalla gives some incredibly clear and relatable ones. For instance, if you grew up with an emotionally unavailable parent, maybe they frequently withdrew, were often absent, struggled to connect, then your partner needing space or alone time might trigger deep primal abandonment fears in you. That simple request for personal time can feel like a rejection, like a sign they're leaving you emotionally or physically.
Even if they just need to decompress.
Even if it has nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Or if you grew up with highly critical caregivers who constantly pointed out your flaws.
The perfectionist hero's background, maybe.
Could be. Then your partner offering feedback, even if it's constructive, gentle, well-intentioned, might trigger profound shame, or that powerful internal critic makes you feel fundamentally unworthy or inadequate. You hear their feedback through the filter of those old critical voices.
Instead of hearing it as helpful.
Right. Another common trigger. If you came from a chaotic family environment, strong emotions often led to unpredictable outbursts, yelling, maybe even physical conflict.
High stress, high drama.
Exactly. Then your partner expressing strong emotions, even if they're just upset about something totally unrelated to you, could trigger intense fear or a desperate urge to shut down or escape. You automatically associate strong emotions with danger, regardless of the context.
Your nervous system just reacts.
It reacts based on past programming. And for those who identified as the invisible one or the lost child, your partner not anticipating your needs or not noticing a subtle cue might trigger feeling deeply unseen or unimportant. It echoes those childhood experiences where you learned your needs weren't a priority, where you had to fade into the background to be safe.
So these aren't new hurts being created.
They're echoes, amplified by the emotional memory of your past, old wounds being touched.
Wow. Okay. That lands. So as a powerful thought exercise for you listening right now, think about a recent time you felt that disproportionate, intense, triggered reaction in your current relationship. What was the specific behavior or situation from your partner that seemed to set it off? And how might that intense feeling, that strong, almost overwhelming emotional response, connect to an experience or a learned pattern, connect to one of those bruises from your childhood? Just pause at that thought for a moment. Invite curiosity, not judgment. See what arises.
It's a powerful reflection.
It really is. Okay, so we've talked about the operating system, the roles, the rules, the clashes, the triggers. It can feel a bit heavy, but here's the truly empowering, deeply hopeful part of this deep dive.
Yes, the hopeful part.
One of the most powerful, I'd even say sacred aspects of conscious relationships is precisely the opportunity to heal generational patterns, to create something profoundly healthier for yourselves and potentially for every future generation that follows.
It's about transformation.
Exactly. This isn't about being stuck in the past or defined by it. It's about using the insights from your history to intentionally build a better, more loving, more conscious future. It's about being the person who breaks the chain.
A powerful image. Breaking the chain. And this raises an important question. What kind of patterns are we talking about breaking? Dr. Attalla mentioned several common ones that, left unaddressed, often get unwittingly passed down through families, creating these cycles of dysfunction.
Like what? What are some common cycles?
Things like emotional unavailability or enmeshment, where families either struggle profoundly to connect emotionally, leading to deep loneliness, or conversely, were so overly involved in each other's lives that healthy boundaries were non-existent, leading to a loss of individual identity.
Two extremes of connection.
Exactly. There's also the generational pattern of conflict avoidance or explosive fighting. Families either suppressed all disagreements, leading to simmering resentment and passive aggression, or escalated them into destructive battles, yelling, personal attacks, emotional violence. Breaking this means finding that healthy middle ground of productive conflict.
Yeah. What else?
Other common patterns include perfectionism or chronic criticism, where self-worth is tied to impossible standards, creating constant anxiety, or where individuals are perpetually judged and found wanting, leading to deep shame. We also see patterns of codependency or emotional walls. Individuals either rely too heavily on others for their sense of self, or conversely, build these impenetrable barriers to intimacy.
Preventing deep connection.
Right. And sadly, deeply entrenched patterns like financial dysfunction, emotional neglect, or addiction patterns can also be passed down, impacting how people manage resources, cope with stress, or simply connect. Breaking these cycles isn't easy work. It takes courage, consistency.
But it's profoundly liberating.
Profoundly liberating, not just for you, but potentially for your entire lineage.
So hearing all this, the big question becomes, how do we actually do this? It sounds like an enormous task, maybe overwhelming, to confront and change patterns ingrained for generations, maybe a lifetime within ourselves. Where do you even start?
It can feel overwhelming, absolutely. But Dr. Attalla outlines a clear, reassuring, and practical process in the workbook, which is so valuable because it breaks down this seemingly monumental task into manageable, actionable steps. It's not a one-time event, not a magic bullet. It's a journey, a continuous practice, like building muscle memory.
Okay, so what's the first step?
The very first step is awareness. This means recognizing the pattern in yourself, seeing it for what it is, and crucially, understanding its origins. Where did it come from in your family system? You cannot change what you do not first acknowledge and identify.
Turning on the light in the room.
Exactly. Turning on the light. Suddenly you can see the furniture, the obstacles, the paths more clearly.
Okay. Awareness first, then what?
Once you have that awareness, the next step is choice. This is the conscious, intentional decision to do something different. It's an act of agency, a declaration to yourself and maybe to your relationship that you will no longer passively let this inherited pattern dictate your behavior.
I choose a different way.
Precisely. This isn't serving me or my partnership, and I choose a different way. This is where empowerment truly begins.
Okay. Awareness, choice, then the hard part.
Then comes practice. And yes, this is often the hardest part. It involves consciously choosing and repeatedly enacting new responses, new behaviors, new ways of interacting, even when it feels uncomfortable, unnatural, maybe even terrifying.
Like learning a new language. Clumsy at first.
Very much like that. You have to repeatedly try the new behavior, often clumsily, even when your old, familiar, deeply grooved patterns are screaming to take over. You will stumble. You will fall back into old habits. And that's not only okay, it's an expected part of the process.
Good to know it's expected. What's next?
This naturally leads to patience. You have to allow time for these new patterns to become natural, to become your new default. Change doesn't happen overnight. It's an organic process, like a plant growing or a river carving a new path. It takes consistent, gentle effort. And recognizing progress isn't always linear.
Some days you slip back.
Some days you slip back, and that doesn't negate the overall progress or the new path you're forging. It just means you keep going.
Okay. Patience.
And crucially, there's support. This is not a journey you have to or even should do alone. Actively getting help from your partner, trusted friends, professionals like therapists, coaches, support groups, it's invaluable. Your partner in particular could be an incredible ally.
How so?
They can help identify when old patterns emerge, help you practice new responses. They can be your compassionate mirror, your accountability partner. Absolutely. And finally, self-compassion. This cannot be overstated. You must be gentle with yourself when you inevitably slip back into old patterns. Recognize you're working against a lifetime of conditioning, against patterns that served a purpose, however maladaptive, in your past.
Treat yourself like a friend.
Exactly. Treat yourself with the same kindness, understanding, encouragement you'd offer a dear friend trying to change a deeply ingrained habit. This isn't about shaming yourself for failures. It's about persistent, gentle redirection, always returning to the path of conscious choice.
I love that framework. Awareness, choice, practice, patience, support, self-compassion. It makes it feel more doable.
It does. And think of it with the analogy Dr. Attalla presents. Breaking a generational pattern is like rerouting a river.
Rerouting a river.
Okay. For generations, the water has flowed one specific way, carving a deep, familiar channel. You can't just stop the flow instantly, but you can consciously, persistently build new channels, little by little, guiding the water in a new direction, until eventually the water naturally shifts course. It begins to flow in a healthier, more intentional direction. It takes immense effort, unwavering consistency, a great deal of patience, but the result is a new, vibrant, life-giving flow.
That's a beautiful analogy, rerouting the river. Okay, so Dr. Attalla's workbook, as we've mentioned, is really a treasure trove. It's filled with these incredibly thoughtful prompts for self-reflection and discussion designed to move you beyond just understanding to really integrating these concepts.
Yes, very practical.
Very practical. So while we can't do the full activities together right now, we can invite you, listening, to internally reflect on the powerful questions he poses. Just let them resonate with you. Allow your inner wisdom to respond.
Let's start with questions for understanding your family background. As you listen, just consider, what was the overall emotional climate of your home growing up? Was it predominantly calm, tense, loving, distant, chaotic? What did it feel like day to day? What were the unspoken rules about expressing emotions, handling conflict, showing affection in your family? Was it okay to cry, to argue respectfully?
What did you learn about love just by watching your caregivers? What did their relationship or lack thereof teach you about partnership?
And how did your family typically handle stress or crisis? What did you learn about asking for or offering support when things got tough? These foundational insights really reveal your inherited blueprint.
Okay. Next, consider questions 4. Recognizing current patterns in your present relationship. As you reflect, ask yourself, How do you see your family of origin patterns showing up now? What automatic behaviors, reactions, communication styles feel eerily familiar, echoing something from your childhood?
What specific triggers in your current relationship, those moments of intense reaction, might be directly connected to experiences or unmet needs from your childhood? Does a certain tone of voice or a particular action send you right back to a specific memory or feeling from the past?
And maybe most tellingly, when you're stressed, overwhelmed, or triggered in your relationship, do you tend to revert to those childhood roles or coping strategies? Do you become the lost child, the caretaker, the rebel, the perfectionist all over again?
It's very revealing. And then the truly powerful questions for looking forward, moving beyond just understanding the past to actively shaping your future. Ask yourself, what specific aspects, values, traditions from your family do you want to consciously bring into your relationship because they serve love and connection?
The good stuff.
The good stuff. Conversely, what old patterns are you most committed to changing or healing, consciously choosing a different path? What kind of emotional culture, what kind of relational environment do you want to intentionally create with your partner?
What does your ideal relationship home feel like?
Exactly. How do you envision emotional expression, honesty, authentic connection, truly thriving in your shared space? How do you want to handle conflict, express love, make decisions differently, more consciously than maybe your family did? This is about intentional design, being the architect.
I love that, being the architect of your relational home. Now, Dr. Attalla then moves into questions designed for discussion with a partner, recognizing this work is most powerful when done together.
Definitely.
So while your partner isn't here right now, take a moment to imagine how these conversations could unfold. What might you share? For exploring each other's family background, imagine asking your partner, how would you describe the mood of your household growing up? What did a typical day feel like?
Do you know much about your parents' childhoods and how those experiences might have shaped them and thus shaped you?
Ooh, that's a deep one. How did your family handle conflict? And what did you learn implicitly or explicitly about whether it was safe to express dissatisfaction or disagreement?
Then, understanding family dynamics and roles. Imagine exploring. What was your birth order? How do you think that shaped you? What role did you play to feel loved or accepted? And how do you see that showing up with me now?
What unspoken rules existed in your family about emotions, success, conflict? How might those be influencing you today? These questions invite incredible vulnerability and mutual understanding.
For life vision and dreams, Dr. Attalla encourages deeper sharing. Imagine asking your partner and sharing yourself. What were some of the happiest or most painful moments from your childhood that truly shaped who you are today? Your values, your fears.
What are your most important personal dreams and goals? Career, health, passions outside of our relationship, recognizing those individual aspirations.
And finally, creating your new family culture. This is about joint creation. Imagine discussing, what old patterns are we both committed to changing? How can we intentionally create new traditions and rituals that reflect our shared values, our unique aspecious?
When one of us sees the other acting from old family patterns that don't serve us, how can we be most open to feedback? Approaching it with curiosity and compassion, not defensiveness.
What kind of emotional culture do we both want to create together in our shared home? One that feels safe, authentic, truly nurturing. These conversations are the building blocks of a new future.
They really are so powerful.
Finally, the workbook includes several powerful activities that are profound tools for application, taking these concepts into concrete, actionable steps. We'll just summarize the essence so you get the idea.
Okay.
First, family mapping and role analysis. This involves visually mapping your family tree, but adding layers. Using different lines for emotional closeness, solid for close, dotted for distant, jagged for conflicted. Marking the roles each person played. Noting communication patterns, who talked to whom, who was isolated. Marking power dynamics.
Seeing the system visually.
Exactly. Seeing your family system clearly, almost as an outside observer, and then reflecting deeply on your own role within it, how it served you then, how it might play out now. Then sharing and discussing these maps with your partner often reveals surprising insights and empathy.
Okay. What else?
Traits to keep versus let go. This fosters intentionality. Individually, you identify values, traditions, ways of relating from your family you want to keep, and separately, list patterns, beliefs, behaviors that create a distance or dysfunction that you're committed to changing. Then you discuss, find common ground, and commit to new values and rituals as a couple, designing your shared future.
Being deliberate about it.
Very deliberate.
Yeah.
Then there's the "this is what I learned" letter. This is a heartfelt prompt. Writing a letter to your partner not for criticism, but for vulnerability and understanding.
What goes in the letter?
You share what you learned about love from your family. Love looks like, conflict means. You share what you struggle with because of your upbringing. Crucially, you state what new things you want to create together and what you need from them for healing or navigating triggers. The purpose is deep empathy and creating a safe space for healing.
Wow, that sounds intense but powerful.
It can be. Next, the dream alignment exercise. About shared vision. Individually, map out personal dreams, relational dreams, what you want together, and legacy dreams. Impact on the world.
Then share them.
Then share and explore them without judgment. Ask curious questions. Identify alignments, divergences. Create support plans for both individual and shared aspirations, building a collective future you're both excited about.
Nice. What about triggers?
Trigger awareness and healing. A critical ongoing practice. Each partner identifies specific behaviors from the other that trigger strong reactions. They compassionately connect these triggers to past family experiences, what old wound is getting activated.
And then communicate that.
Yes, with compassion. It sometimes triggers me because connect to past, and what I need in that moment is then develop healing practices together. Strategies for staying present, not reacting from the past. Disarming those old landmines with empathy.
Okay. That's vital. One more.
And finally, Dr. Attalla suggests establishing a monthly family pattern check-in, a genius idea for ongoing awareness and support.
A regular check-in.
Yes. Set aside time each month to ask each other, how have old family patterns shown up for you this month? Normalizes it. What family strengths have you been drawing on? Highlights positives. Is anything from your past activated that's impacting us? Proactive communication. How can I support your continued healing? Builds partnership. And importantly, what new patterns are we creating together that you're proud of? Celebrates progress.
That sounds like such a healthy habit for a relationship.
It fosters ongoing awareness, accountability, and support, making this deep dive an ongoing journey of love and growth.
The profound beauty of these activities, even just reflecting on them like we have today, is how they move you from abstract understanding to concrete, lived insight. They provide this practical, compassionate framework for you to actively engage with your inherited history, emotionally, relationally, even physically in your body.
They make the invisible visible.
Exactly. Giving you the tools to truly understand and reshape your relational destiny.
And if we connect all of this back to the bigger picture, Dr. Attalla's profound work reminds us that while our family of origin undoubtedly built the initial framework for how we understand love, connection, conflict, you get to actively design and build the home you live in now with your partner.
We're not just passive inhabitants.
Not at all. You are not simply passive inhabitants of a structure you inherited. By understanding what shaped you, what emotional blueprints were laid down, you gain incredible agency, real power over what you intentionally build together moving forward.
That's truly it, isn't it? The past doesn't have to rigidly predict the future.
Unless you let it.
Unless you keep unconsciously reliving it, running on those old default settings. You're not just inheriting emotional patterns. You're being given this incredible opportunity to consciously create something entirely new and profoundly powerful.
That's the potential.
This is both the challenge and I think the sacred gift of conscious relationships. The chance to bravely break generational cycles, to compassionately heal old wounds that echo in the present, and to craft a love story that truly honors your history while profoundly transcending its limitations.
It's deep work. This raises an important, empowering question for you, the listener, to consider moving forward. How will you actively participate with intention and courage in designing your unique relationship home, rather than just passively inhabiting the one your past inadvertently designed for you?
What conscious choices will you make today?
Exactly. What choices will you make to build that future?
Dr. Attalla leaves us with this incredibly uplifting truth, kind of a North Star for relationships. Love isn't just about staying together, it's about helping each other grow into who you're meant to be.
It's about mutual evolution, a profound act of co-creation. And indeed, the couples who thrive long-term aren't the ones with perfect families of origin. Nobody has that.
Right.
They're the ones who've done the courageous work to understand their inheritance, to acknowledge their triggers, and to consciously choose which parts to keep, which parts to lovingly transform, and which to release. Your relationship truly can become that sacred space where old wounds find healing, where generational patterns get consciously updated, and where beautiful new traditions of love, connection, and authenticity are finally born.
It's an opportunity for profound, lifelong transformation.
Absolutely.
So what will you build? Keep diving deep, keep reflecting, and keep growing.